Hey guys, how all of you beautiful people are doing? And yes, this is the next part of Season 2 of Multiverse of Marvel. When a cinephile and an otaku /weeb travels through dimensions and gets a system which can only be described as overpowered but comes with restrictions. At first he was overjoyed with the system but soon realizes that he is in a very dangerous world where his life was at risk all the time. So let's start without any delay. Your library is huge. But I still can't do any spells from the things written. Banner said. Yes. It depends on talent. John said. Many were disappointed as they understood that they didn't have magic talent. That would have been a boost to their powers. They all went out after some time and soon the people who went to explore more of the ring came back. How was the view? John asked. It's so beautiful. The Hall of Justice would be huge here. John, you better keep 60% of the whole ring to us. I don't want to destroy the beauty of it. People will just pollute the ring. Tony said. Ask Pepper to handle all this. 343 will take care of it. John said. So that's the Tower of Fate you spoke about before. Looks huge. Wayne said after he came back with Tony as he too had gone to explore the ring. Yes. You can go in and check it out. Anyway, let Umbrella handle everything. Is the Focus ready to be in the market? John asked. Yes. Tony replied. All right. Soon we will replace mobiles. I am off. Have some work at Disney with the new movies. Tony, you can place Gaia here. I am sure she will be happy to take control of this ring. 343 will be responsible for the influx and outflux of people. Since she can use the ring technology to teleport people, she will be the monitor of it. Of course 343 will still have the core control of everything here. John said. Now Victor doesn't have to use boom tubes for everyone. Tony said. Everybody laughed at it as Victor was basically working as the transport guy here. John vanished away after that while the others remained. He had work to do at Disney. The others went to check for proper space to build a new Hall of Justice. It was April when the ring had arrived and John had accumulated quite a lot of fan values. In a month or so he would have enough fan values. And recently, due to the work of Green Lanterns across the galaxies, the works of John in the Nova Empire had become famous and thus his fan values were also rising very quickly due to this influence. John, after coming back, went directly to Disney. He was surprised to see such a huge amount of people outside the headquarters. John knew that they were here to know more about the ring. John didn't care about greeting them and directly went inside. But what gave John a headache was that the employees of Disney too wanted to know about the ring. Boss, can we ever go to the ring? Kevin asked as he now knew that their boss had high connections with the Avengers and they might get a chance to go through that channel. If you want, we can relocate the headquarters to Ring. Umbrella too would probably relocate their headquarters. John said as he was really thinking of relocating the headquarters there. This would keep the normal public away from them and would be able to work in peace. Really? Is that even possible? Can we shift our homes too? Won't that be expensive for the employees? How will the employees travel if they want to come to Earth? Kevin said. You have played the game. 343 will be responsible for teleportation of people. You can easily come back whenever you want and still live there comfortably. You can ask the employees. Umbrella would soon construct houses. Ask them. I will talk to Pepper about it. John said. That will be great. I will ask the employees who work here. Kevin said excitedly. He really wanted to move to the ring with his family. Living there would be equivalent to living in heaven. John was amazed that Kevin didn't think about the problem of flood that was shown in the game, but thought maybe because John would do nothing to harm them. He didn't think much about it after that. John then proceeded to work on the upcoming movie and even the new movie that would be out by the end of the year. He was looking forward to new people that he would be able to extract from both the movies that he had planned this year. It took a month for people to accept that now they had a ring in their orbit. There was a serious debate about the implications of the ring on Earth. Be it economical, geological or other such effects. Umbrella and the governments launched a joint probe on the ring, and when they couldn't find any kinds of viruses, the people rejoiced. Now Umbrella finally declared that 40% of the ring would be for the public, and like always there will be space for both rich and poor. Of course the governments protested against it, let alone the people. Firstly, the space was too small, and secondly, the rich wanted to buy more land there and wanted to live in luxury. Umbrella came out saying that this was the deal 343 Guilty Spark had made with the Avengers. If they had problems with it, they could go and ask the AI and see if the deal could be renegotiated. This made the government step back a bit, but still some people insisted on asking the Guilty Spark. The governments hired a ship of the Umbrella and went to the ring. 343 was already given the topic which it needed to speak about by Wayne and Tony. After the landing of the officials on the ring, 343 went to greet them, and as usual they asked for more land. 343 directly said that the deal was already done and could never be renegotiated. The officials tried enticing with many benefits, but for an AI such human benefits wouldn't matter much, over the fact that he was controlled by John, so such conditions were useless. Thus the officials came back with the sad news that only 40% would be allocated to the public and private. This made the people sad, but 40% too was pretty huge, so people flocked to the Umbrella again to buy the land. Even though Umbrella wanted to divide the land of 40% to all the sections of society, the rich had more money to spend, so they had to buckle on the smell of green bills. John, who was keeping an eye on this, lamented on the power of rich people. Even though they were successful in keeping Mars's population distributed equally, it was not possible for the ring, as this was enticing and everybody wanted to live in a space which could be said as a heaven. By the month of June, new headquarters of both Disney and Umbrella were established and made on the ring. Every one of the employees moved to the new place without hesitation, as the companies provided them cheap land as compared to other people. 343 handled all the transport logistics, so it was precise and fast. It could literally teleport anyone and anything from the ring to Earth to any place and vice versa. The people just needed to use their mobiles or focus, which was the new product of Umbrella gaining popularity among the masses, to give the coordinates, and then they would be teleported. Victor, in order to give the ring unlimited power, handed the mother box to 343. This would enable 343 to work more efficiently and faster, as the mother box itself has unlimited power. The people were amazed to see teleporting technology, and even the governments asked for share of technology, but as usual 343 refused to do so. Some of the officials feared this teleportation, as people could be transferred anywhere, even the homes of officials. Thus, governments even threatened 343 with nuclear missiles, but 343 said that if they do it, the Avengers would come for them, as that was the initial deal. Land in lieu of protection. Now the governments really didn't know what to do and had to accept it, and 343 said that there would always be fixed coordinates to transfer the normal public and never invade privacy. They could only take it slowly and try to steal technology from the ring later. Of course Gaia, who has been brought to the ring, and 343 would always keep an eye on all the people who came to the ring. A new Hall of Justice was made, which was bigger than the one at Jurassic Park. Almost everybody moved their home to the ring, and even S.H.I.E.L.D. moved their headquarters to the ring, as with the help of 343 they could respond to emergency situations faster. This was like a dream come true for Fury, as S.H.I.E.L.D. now has a base which overlooked the Earth from all points. He was actually thankful that John existed and helped in making the transition smooth. Even though he still felt John was hiding something, he didn't care as long as they did good for humanity. He made sure 343 could never hack into the S.H.I.E.L.D. files and sealed many things away from the server, so that if one day 343 went rogue they would have contingency plans. Ultron was a wake-up call to many people. By the month of July everything got settled. John too had started living on the ring, at the tower, and even asked his dad to move here. But his dad refused, saying that his work was on Earth and this needed a more hands-on approach. John tried convincing him to retire, but he failed to do so. Since he knew his words would just fall on deaf ears, he didn't say more and left. John missed Emma a bit, and she would come by the end of the year, so it would take a long time for her to arrive. By the end of July his fan values finally reached the amount he needed to extract a world. And he wanted to bring some of the people first to give people the idea of what world was going to arrive. He called all the members of the Avengers, and even Steve, who was working in the League, came. Everybody arrived, including Fury, the people from the Wolf School, Flash, Petro, Hal, Bucky, Banner, Wayne, Stark, Clint and others from S.H.I.E.L.D. 343 took care of the teleportation and moved all of them to the newly built Hall of Justice, which looked exactly like the one in the comics and animated series. Ding! Total fan values accumulated, 16 billion. So is the new world going to come? Wayne asked after everybody sat down. Can't you just send the world to other planet like you can guide some things from other worlds? Fury asked. John squinted his eyes at Fury and said, controlling a real person and a non-living thing is different. Do you think I am a god that can bring and send back anything that I like or dislike? Everybody understood that there was a limit to the powers of John and everything couldn't be done as they wish for. So, what is this new world that is coming? You have been teasing us about that for a long time. Banner, as he was running out of patience. Easy Banner, Victor, these are coordinates. Go and bring these people. They would be wearing white lab coats and would be easily recognizable. John said as he brought out a piece of paper which had the coordinates, and it was scattered all around the globe. Victor with his boom tubes can easily approach the people that have arrived. Approach and convince them to come with you. They are the first people to arrive and soon everybody will come from their world. John said. I understand. Victor said as he opened a boom tube and went in. Everybody now had to wait for the new people to arrive. I should have gone with Victor to convince these new people to come. Fury said. You with your eye patch will just make people alienate. How are the normal people taking in the theory of multiverse? Have they accepted it? John asked as they waited for Victor. Yes, the response had been positive, even though there are doubts by many sections of the people, but it can be controlled. Fury replied. Are the governments ready for the new world? John asked again. More or less. Since you have denied giving us any hints, it made them angry. Fury said. Doesn't matter. When you will see the people you will know anyways. Even if they were given a few years it would still not be enough. John said. Almost half an hour went by and finally a boom tube opened and Victor came out from it. And from the boom tubes came out men and women came out with weird hair color like the ones of Naruto's world. The moment the Avengers saw these people they were dumbfounded. Because every one of them knew who these people were and finally understood why John said before that it was better to let the people know of multiverse because people needed an heads up with the upcoming world. The one man leading the whole team of people who looked like doctors came out of the boom tubes. They all looked around and the people who were sitting on the round table. Hello, Mr. Stone here asked us to go with him to meet you people to understand this world. I am Professor Oak. It's nice to meet you all. Hope we didn't disturb much. The man said. All of the members of the Avengers and even the Wolf School after hearing the name Professor Oak knew what world was going to arrive. The world of Pokemon. Yes, this was John's plan from the start. Only the world of Pokemon would enable John to have huge amount of fan values always. The people of the world be then forced to see his work and supply him huge amount of fan values always. After all, seeing is believing. Though he knew that this would create great turmoil in the society and some people will even try to mistreat the Pokemons and even do some cruel experiments. But the main thing was every single one of the Pokemon would be under the control of John and if any bad thing happened to any one of the Pokemon he would know immediately. This was one of the reasons he'd also let S.H.I.E.L.D. and the League dig deep into both the bright and dark side of the world. Even though the governments might flip out he didn't care. The last purge was a huge warning to them and if they do any bad thing John didn't mind just killing them off. Hello, Professor Oak. I guess you have a general idea of the world as I have tried speaking with you through dreams. John replied. Yes. Never knew that even people could contact through dreams. Only knew Darkrai and only such other special Pokemons have that power. Good to know that even humanity has evolved in another universe. Professor Oak said. Hello Professor Oak. I am a huge fan of yours. Banner spoke up for the first time as everybody was still taking time to digest the new world that was going to arrive. Many of them thought that it would be a world like Naruto's, for example the world of 7 deadly sins, Black Clover or even the world of JoJo. But they didn't expect the world of Pokemon. Hello. I am glad that you like my work. But I don't know you. Professor Oak said. I am Bruce Banner. A physicist and a medical doctor. I have been following your world for a long time. Banner said. Thank you. I guess at first we will have to do formal introductions. Oak said. Everybody finally came back to reality and introduced themselves to each other. John had summoned many known professors of Pokemon world like Professor Rowan, Professor Birch, Professor Kukui, Professor Juniper and few others and sent them to different parts of the globe to make the summoning more believable. Fury was now thinking how to tell this to the World Council. He really didn't want such a weird world to come, but he had no other way to tackle it but head on. How many days do we have till all the Pokemon arrive? Will the people also come? Fury asked after he introduced themselves to all of them. This was the main question which everybody wanted to know. A small amount of people will arrive. Some of them are already known to people, and some who had never appeared. We will have to negotiate everything with Arceus though. We have 2 weeks, Fury. John said. as Arceus was the supposed creator of the Pokemon world. Now all had another headache, as there would be negotiations too. Fury now had to do everything in these few weeks and convince the governments to work actively in these 2 weeks to welcome this new world. I will be a Pokemon trainer, Pietro said, as he loved the Pokemon series and would love to collect Pokemons. Yeah. Get in line, kid, Tony said. Though the Avengers were shocked by the emergence of a new world, they have starting accepting the fact that a new world would arrive. First negotiate with Arceus and then think of having Pokemon, Wayne reminded, as he too had watched the anime. The betrayal of human beings didn't go down well with Arceus and knew they had to convince him first. We will give Arceus to live in the ring. He can overlook everything from here and decide what is good and what not, Steve said. The professors who had arrived went out with Banner as he said that they were on the ring. The professors were very much interested in this ring, which worked a huge satellite. The Avengers were discussing how to handle Pokemon, and Fury went away after asking 343 to teleport him back to headquarters. He needed to have a general meeting with the World Council. Wayne stayed back and was discussing the impact of the new world. Vesemir, would you all like to relocate here? John asked Vesemir. Yes, I would love to. I have spoken with Pepper before to make a new building in the ring only for us, and she accepted it. That's good. I might be able to give some of the members new powers, John suddenly declared. Huh? What do you mean? Tony asked. The people who came from other universes, I can provide them with more power in lieu with the power that are present in other universes, John said. I don't understand, Clint said. For example, Wayne is a vampire Batman in one universe. I can make Bruce like that, by combining and controlling the multiversal magic and pass through them. This is only possible who had come from other universes, John elaborated. You mean to say the people who came from other universes have a chance to upgrade themselves via magic? Wayne asked, this time as he understood what John meant. Yes, John replied. This is scientifically impossible. What you are saying is changing the genes of the people, Tony replied. Yes. But this isn't science. This is magic. I told you. Donning the helmet of Dr. Fate has a huge power, John said. And this was a lie, as he could spend fan values to upgrade characters according to the comics and give his summons more powers. I need more powers too. You said I am a magician in one universe. Give me that powers bypassing the mumbo jumbo, Tony said. Sorry Tony, this is only possible who had come from other universes from before, as they were already imbued with multiversal energy. John spoke another bunch of lies. What a ton of bulls *****. Tony lamented. You have always said I have huge potential. Am I really very powerful in other universes? Wanda said. Yes. Well, strong to the point where you are scary. You once killed a whole race of people, John said. Everybody was taken aback by such knowledge. This really happened, as Wanda once killed the entirety of mutants after she became very angry with her father, Magneto. Ha! A whole race. Who did she kill? Triss asked, as she was interested in the powers of Wanda. A race of super-powered beings called mutants. You might see them in the future, John said. Everybody understood now why Wanda was favored by John and witches. She was basically a hidden weapon for them that they could use when the situations become dire. Let's forget about all that now. Every power comes at a cost. Now, Arceus will arrive first in a few days. What do you propose we should do to welcome him? John asked. Everybody contemplated it and all wanted to leave a good impression on the god of Pokemon, the Pokemon who possessed all the types known to man. Umbrella within these 2 weeks can establish ranches by buying lands, start constructing gyms and establish Pokemon centers all around the globe. This will take time, but that will be a start, Victor said as everybody started pitching their ideas. We can change the logos of Avengers and even S.H.I.E.L.D. according to the Pokemon, like Avengers will have the mascot of Victini, S.H.I.E.L.D. will be represented by Zamazenta and Zacian, Umbrella will have the logo of Mew, so on and so forth. Wayne said. That's a nice idea. John said as he really liked it. We can negotiate with Arceus for sending the Pokemons to their respective climate regions, like ice-type Pokemon to snowy regions. Oh yeah, John, when the world is merged, will the islands be merged too? I don't think Earth has enough space for that, Diana asked. I am not sure if there will be the islands. Maybe 1 or 2 will arrive, John said as he wasn't sure if he would bring the islands or not, as he hasn't decided yet. Let's talk with Arceus, maybe he can tell us what will arrive and what not, Steve said. We will have to control the people. This will take a long time to calm the public. We will have a lot to do in the upcoming weeks, Tony said. Yes. I will keep an eye on all the bad factors and people who will profit in this chaos, John reminded everyone. Yes. Thank God S.H.I.E.L.D. has infiltrated deeply into the world now. Steve, you better help us, Hal said. Worry not. I will take care of the other side. The rules of the people getting Pokemon will be like the original. Only kids who cross the age of 14 can be official trainers and take part in battles. The rules will be exactly like the previous world, Diana said. As they were discussing, all the professors came back after exploring the ring and all of them were excited by seeing such a huge satellite. How was it, professors? Do you like the place here? Wayne asked. It's amazing. I have decided to make my laboratory here, if you allow me to, Professor Oak said. Why not? This place is huge. You can make a bigger ranch here and we would love it, Tony said. It's settled then. The other professors are more excited about exploring the Earth. They all then shared their ideas and spoke about negotiating with Arceus about the arrival of Pokemons. All the professors got excited when they came to know that they might meet Arceus. They thus decided to join in this negotiation too, as they also represent humanity. The whole discussion went on a full day, while Fury was having a brainstorming session with the World Council. He finally said what world was going to arrive and the members were taken aback. They knew they had to act fast, and since they had very little time, they needed to inform the governments to brace themselves for the upcoming storm. When the governments came to know, they were in uproar. They never expected such a world to arrive in a matter of weeks. They knew they had to act fast and make a good impression because the Pokemons are really powerful and humanity won't survive if the Pokemons ever revolted. Fury had to console everyone, saying that the Pokemons' behavior will be like the anime. They would be friendly, provided humans are kind to it. Now they had a massive task ahead and each government got to work to welcome the new visitors. The Naruto world itself was a headache, and now an almost the same powerful world was going to arrive and they had to brace themselves again for a weirder world. The next day Umbrella changed their logo to Mew. The Avengers organization changed their logo to Victini in their website, which was maintained by Felicity. Even Disney changed their logo from the iconic castle to Pikachu. This sudden change from three large organizations surprised many people. They didn't understand what was going on, and there were serious debates on the internet of what was going on. And in a week the rumors started to float around that Pokémons were going to arrive in their world like the ring appeared. Apparently this leaked from some employees of various governments around the globe. Many hid their identities and declared on forums that the governments were getting ready to welcome the visitors. While all this was going on, John and other Avengers members came to a secluded island somewhere west of the USA. They were joined by the professors. They came here for only one thing, and that was meeting Arceus. This was the place John decided to summon Arceus. Excited, John asked as he saw that everybody had little tense faces. They were going to meet a god who actually was responsible for the creation of Pokémon. Truth to be told, even John himself was excited to see Arceus. One of his childhood dreams was going to be fulfilled soon, so he too was excited at heart. As they were waiting, there was a sudden flash of light in the air. And from that flash emerged a centaur-looking animal. The animal looked pure white and was glistening in the sunshine. It looked huge and majestic. It was Arceus. Arceus looked more pristine than John had imagined, and he almost had a godly aura around him. Humans again. These were the first words of Arceus. Arceus, we are here in peace. You have been thrown to this world without your consent, and this planet is the only one you can settle down. I have spoken to you in the dreams, so you know the situation here. John said as he needed to work out the lie. Arceus sighed when he heard that, as he too followed the drama played out by John. So a new world. I guess humanity will be the same as the previous world. Arceus said. It might be, but nobody is perfect. Not even Pokémon. We all make mistakes and learn along the way. From the dreams I spoke to you about what kind of organization we are and what kind of world this is. John said. Yes. Feels weird to have monsters that are higher level than me here. Arceus said. As they were talking, suddenly out of nowhere a circular portal opened. The portal had yellow sparks around it. And from the portal came out a bald woman. Everybody was taken aback when this new woman emerged. Nobody had even seen such a person ever before except for John and a few others. It was the Ancient One. John never expected her to come in this negotiation. The other members of the Avengers who didn't know took their defensive poses because they had no idea where this new woman came from, and from the portal she created it looked like the boom tube portals. John, in order to calm everyone down, said, Did the coming of Arceus affect the magical defense of the planet? No, there was a shake on the defense but nothing happened. Came to see what the fun is about. The Ancient One replied without even giving an eye to the others. John, who is she? Tony asked. As everybody wanted to know her identity. John never gave any information about her to anyone. Not even his summons, who never met her. She is the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth. Gerald spoke as he had met her before. What? You mean like she is on the magic side? Banner asked. Yes, Dr. Banner. The Ancient One replied this time. You know me. Banner said, now being more confused. Yes, Dr. Banner. I have kept an eye on everything going on with the world. You are a person of interest. The Ancient One replied. Arceus. I have got to say the power inside you is massive. She continued. I can also feel a huge amount of power inside you, human. Arceus replied. The Ancient One smiled at the words of Arceus. I hope you come in peace. She said. I am a peace-loving Pokemon. It's the humans who aren't at peace. Arceus said. True. It's the humans, but we have goodness in us too. She said. John then stopped both of their conversations as they were in this meeting for false negotiation, not for judging humanity. Hello. Can we come back to the topic? We are here to negotiate. John said. Very well. I also want to meet these new so-called Pokemons. They looked cute in the anime as far as I remember. The Ancient One said. John sighed and then handed all the negotiation matters to Fury, Wayne and the professors, as they were the more apt people. John said that Arceus would be controlling the total distribution of Pokemon, so they all needed a proper plan before everyone arrives. The whole false negotiation went on for 2 hours before Arceus vanished from their sights. The professors were more interested in the physiology of Arceus instead of negotiating. Wayne and Fury were mostly responsible for the main talks. The others who were present just followed the conversation and inserted themselves and gave their own ideas to it. John just sat down and looked at the ongoing babble. It felt like a huge drama to him, as half of the people in it were just his puppets. So, happy with the negotiation? John asked after Arceus vanished. Even though he was present, he actively didn't participate in it. Yes. We all got what we wanted and he has a better behavior than what the anime showed. Fury said. I told you before. My works are only a reference. Not the actual world sometimes. John said. Arceus liked the mascot thing of ours. Tony said with a smile. Yes. Never knew Arceus has a liking for show-offs. John said, and everybody laughed at that. They all been tense about meeting a god. Now they have finally met. How is the response from the government's? Fury? John asked, as he too was a little concerned. He would be able to handle it but didn't want to be overwhelmed. The World Council is handling it. Some governments aren't very enthusiastic, as it might change the geopolitical situations of the countries, but it was never going to be perfect. We can only do so much. Fury said. The Avengers will have to work overtime to maintain everything in order. Wayne said. That we do. John said. We have less than a week. The Ancient One also left after Arceus went away after saying goodbye to everyone. John, does Earth really have a Sorcerer Supreme? Fury asked. Then what you saw just now was an illusion? John asked sarcastically. You knew of her from before? Tony asked. Yes. Even before I became Dr. Fate. She has been doing this for the last hundreds of years. John said. What? How is she alive? Is she an immortal like Diana? Natasha asked. No. She is a normal human being. It's just that she uses magic to maintain her age and youthfulness. John said. I wish I had the magic talent. Tony lamented as he too went to the tower to study magic, but understood later that he didn't have any such. Everything has a price, Tony. Her immortality comes at a cost. John said. Later they all discussed more about Arceus and what they needed to do. He wore his helmet and vanished with everyone and went back to the ring. And after that everybody went to work. John too went to Disney as the new movie was about to be released in September. Boss, are the Pokemon really going to come? Will they come to the ring? Kevin asked. They by now have all settled in the ring, but Kevin was sad thinking the Pokémon which John had said to be arriving might not be available at the ring. Professor Oak will be at the ring here with his laboratory and ranch. You can go and catch Pokémon. But catch only those whom you think will be suitable for you. John replied. That's great. Professor Oak is here too. This is awesome. Kevin said excitedly. John returned back to the tower after a day's work. John had even brought Bumblebee to the ring, and now he could finally transform himself in the open without having any problems. John was happy to see Bee being free and being able to move around. Returning home, he checked the internet to see how the public response was after the change of logos. He was not surprised when there were leaks on the internet of the Pokémon world coming, as this was too big of a secret to be kept hidden. John was happy to see that at least the people have taken it more positively than he thought. After 2 days, the US government finally opened its mouth saying that the rumors were true. The Pokémon were really going to come in less than a week. This announcement surprised John, as he didn't expect the US would be bold enough to declare such a huge news to the public. This caused a huge uproar. And the people believed it, as the information came from the President of the USA himself. After this declaration, many other governments came forward to declare the same news in a day. They really trust Fury. John thought, as every government came out with the news because the negotiation was already done with Arceus. By the first week of August, John finally summoned the Pokémon world. After much contemplation, he only brought the Pokémons and not the people nor the islands belonging to the Pokémon world. Bringing the people will be a hassle. There even might be war just for taking control of the islands and people living on them. I will just change the ecology of the planet with the help of the system. The system would help him change the ecology of the world by introducing trees and food that are native to Pokémon world. The professors have already been sent to the different laboratories of Umbrella so that they would help teaching the people about the food habits and other associated factors. John even sent the medical information of the Pokémon world to the Umbrella Corporation so that they could take care of the medical emergency. Even though the doctors wouldn't be expert on the knowledge immediately, they had to start somewhere. The moment the Pokémon world arrived all over the world, it caused an uproar. More than 90% of the people were happy to see the cute Pokémon arriving, and all came out of their homes to see and even establish friendship. Since Umbrella didn't come out with Pokémon balls yet, they could only go the old ways and try to establish friendship. The Avengers went to work immediately after they arrived, as they knew it was time. Fury and John sat side by side. 343 Guilty Spark was responsible for transporting people. Using the system, he would always know if any Pokémon would be hurt or shown aggression by anyone. Thus John sat at the ring while directing Fury and the Avengers to go to places where the Pokémons needed help. Even though the people welcomed the Pokémons with open arms, there were people who had evil ideas. This was where the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. came in. They proceeded in cleaning the evil ones. The League too kept an eye on everything. And this operation was a long one. The Earth was huge and the evil elements came from the sea region too, as there were even people who wanted to kill Pokémon and eat them. This annoyed the Avengers, and even in one case Victor proceeded to kill a person who wanted to kill a Pokémon for fun. Victor looked up the information of the person on the internet and was disgusted by what he saw. All the people were brought to justice by them, and they made sure that the people who were caught would be showed to the public with all their crimes. Even though they couldn't kill any Pokémon, but some were hurt. John made sure that all Pokémons retaliated if there any form of aggression shown to them. Thus the public also came to know that the Avengers and the police were very much active in hunting down people who committed crimes against Pokémons, and thus those who had evil ideas threw them away. Finally, after a whole week of hunting, almost all the people were brought to justice and the Avengers got rest. Even though there were 1 or 2 cases, S.H.I.E.L.D. was looking into it. John too was tired after getting continuous notifications from the system. The barrage of notifications overwhelmed him, but he knew this was necessary to root out evil from society. He proceeded to take rest while all the Avengers too were tired in dealing with such a massive mission. After taking a rest for a full day, everybody came together for a meeting. So are the cases down now? Is S.H.I.E.L.D. enough to handle them? Steve asked. Yes. I am checking through the Helmet of Fate and could see that the cases have become minimal. S.H.I.E.L.D. and League have been working from their own paths and thus the cases have gone down. John said. That's good. I talked to Oak. Umbrella would be able to produce Pokeballs soon. I will have to go and hunt of Pokémons myself. Tony said. I will go too. Flash said as everybody was excited to get their first Pokémons. The governments in the meantime too were handling the process of integrating Pokémon into the world. The governments gave the instruction that every single citizen should watch the Pokémon anime to get a proper knowledge of Pokémon, and every country would have unique 3-starter Pokémons for kids who want to undertake the Pokémon trainer journey. The rules would be followed exactly like the anime, while Umbrella would be responsible for establishing gyms in cooperation with local governments. Of course, every person could catch wild Pokémons too, as the number of Pokémons that were brought was huge. More than double the population of Earth. John made sure that there would be no hunger for Pokémon, so with the help of the system he changed the ecology of Earth. People were surprised to see new trees and plants growing rapidly from the ground after the emergence of Pokémons. And of course all these changes had a huge impact on society. Some people even came together and formed new cults surrounding the Pokémon legends. There are mad people in every world. Hal said as Victor showed footage from around the world after the emergence of Pokémon. They will always be present. Gerald said. What really surprised everybody was that Siri was the first person to get a friendship from a Pokémon, and when she came back, it was Elgyem, a very rare psychic type Pokémon. Siri, how did you get the friendship? Yen asked as she saw the Pokémon with envy on the shoulder of Siri. Well, he was caught in the net by some people in Africa. Even though he defended himself quite well, he was outnumbered. So I came by and gave him a hand. Then he started following me. Now we are here. Siri said. I have saved so many Pokémon. Why don't I get followed? Pietro said with sadness. In a few days the ranch will open here. I am sure you can follow Professor Oak and learn how to catch a Pokémon. John said. They all didn't ask about John trying to catch Pokémon because John dreaming about the Pokémon world should have filled his mind with all the knowledge. Umbrella has already started building ranches and gyms. Soon a proper organization will be set up to control the gyms and the rules. The governments will sponsor the gyms and make strict laws so that Pokémon aren't used to attack humans. Any people found guilty will be served with double punishment. Pokémon can be used for saving purposes and only for that. Wayne said. Agreed. Arthur said as all nodded their heads to this. You will have to talk with the World Council to establish an organization responsible for this. John said. Yes. And only legitimate people will sit on it. Like the professors. Banner said. I thought the population would rise when the world arrived. Thankfully, human beings didn't appear like the one with Naruto World. Natasha said. Yes. It would have been a headache. John nodded as he took the correct decision in not bringing the humans. The people in Pokemon World would be pretty pissed with all the missing Pokemon. Clint commented. All laughed at the joke as their world gained Pokemon while another world lost. John just smiled at it as this was all a huge false world. What about the special stones, John? They would be needed for various purposes for Pokemon. They have already integrated with the land of Earth and distributed everywhere. Umbrella can start searching after finding proper tools. John replied. That's a relief. I am sure you all have work to do now. Go home. Recharge yourself. The first Pokeballs would be out soon. And then go out and have fun. Wayne said. Before you go, I need to say that I have found a very interesting kid. This kid can swing across buildings using some kind of silk that can attach to walls and has immense body strength. I saw him while completing a small bullying case in New York. He too, like Siri, had a Pokemon with himself. It was Spinarak. Tony said. Peter Parker? John asked. Yes. How do you know? I had to ask Gaia to bring out his identity. He lives with his aunt in Queens. Tony said as he was surprised. Everybody understood that this kid has importance in the universe since John knew. Tony, take care of that kid. Be his mentor. John said as Peter Parker of this world had a huge attachment with Tony. Me. And a mentor. Do I look like a babysitter to you? Tony asked. John just looked at him with squinted eyes. What? In other universes am I his mentor? Tony finally asked. Not exactly. He does tie up with Avengers later in most of the universes, but here will be different. On second thought, leave him. Let him grow up by himself. There will be kids appearing soon. We'll just throw him to them. John said. Kids as superheroes. Wouldn't that be dangerous? Banner asked. Ask Bruce. His son followed his father's footsteps. John. Everybody's eyes went wide open when John said that. They all turned and looked at Wayne. Nobody expected Wayne to have a son. You have a son. You ****D. You never told any of us. Tony almost screamed. Wayne didn't reply but asked John. Is Damien and the others coming? Yes. John replied. Bruce's eyebrows squinted when John replied that as if he was being tortured. Jesus. Do you hate your son or something? With whom did you have the kid? Tony and others got interested because they never expected their supposed leader supreme to have a kid with someone. Even the Wolf School guys joined in to know about this Damien. Wayne sighed as he knew the secret was out and it wasn't like he hated his son. In fact, he was proud of him. It's just this child of his wasn't born out of proper marriage. Damien is the son of mine and Talia Al Ghul. Wayne said. Al Ghul. Related to Raz? Steve asked as he was the only person here who was connected to Raz apart from Oliver and Wayne. Yes, she is the daughter of Raz. Damn. Do you even practice properly in Nanda Parbat or having an affair? Tony didn't hesitate to mock Wayne. It's all in the past. Thing is, he is going to come. John said. They all were more interested in the affair of Wayne, but he didn't speak much about it. Everybody looked sullen when Bruce just left without saying much. Alright guys, you can ask the sun when he arrives. Now let's go back. John said and vanished and appeared in Fate Tower. Now he needed to think which Pokemon he would prefer. An Audino would be perfect to keep everything clean here. She could help in cooking too and even be helpful in healing purposes. I will just put Victini at the Hall of Justice, which would guarantee that we will never be out of power. After all, the rumor of winning luck isn't just for show. John thought. I will pick whatever Pokemons I like later when I come across them. For now let me search for Audino. John searched in the system for a location of Audino. After finding it he vanished. The next moment he was in a forest in Japan where he saw an Audino nearby eating a berry. The Audino turned her head to look at John. Being a summon of John, each Pokemon would feel close to him. So the Audino was very happy to see him. She directly went and gave him a hug. John really felt good by that hug, as he felt that his loneliness at home would go away now. Do you wish to come with me? There will be enough food and you will be able to eat whatever you want. John said. As usual, he has given free will to the Pokemons too. He wanted everybody to have their own path. If this Audino denied, he would go find another Audino. But this Audino understood what John meant and immediately nodded her head with excitement as she was happy to accompany him. John smiled and the next moment he vanished with her. After reaching home, he got a call from Dad asking about his health and everything. And after much talking, his dad finally said the reason for his call. Son, can I get a Pokemon? Jameson asked in a low voice. John laughed as he felt his father was too shy to ask him about it. Of course, Dad. Which one do you want? John asked. I want a Vulpix. They look super cuddly and cute. Jameson said. John felt weird as he never thought his father would love such cute things. Okay. Let Umbrella release the Pokeballs. I will take you to one. John replied. Thank you, son. Jameson said. After speaking for a few more minutes, they ended the call. Audino settled well at the Tower of Fate. Even though this wasn't an apt place for living, it was better than living in the forest. After the initial excitement, the people were slowly adapting to Pokemons living on Earth. By the end of August, the Pokeballs were finally out. Produced by the Umbrella Corporation, Pepper had to work overtime to bring out these Pokeballs fast. The moment the balls were in market, people barged into the company's shops to buy them. Pepper knew this would happen, so she ordered a huge quantity of them. Tony and others went Pokemon hunting after taking Pokemon catching lessons from Professor Oak. Even Vision joined in this hunt. John wanted to see what Pokemons they would catch. Recently he had seen that Vision and Wanda had been getting pretty close to each other, and since the school was in the ring, Vision would spend his time there. A whole month went by after that and it was time for the movie to be out. Everybody came for the movie as usual, only this time they came with Pokemons. Even some of the audience who came for the premiere had Pokemons. Now having Pokemons was a sign of pride for people. Due to encouragement from the government and the Pokemons having weird power, the public loved them. Like always, S.H.I.E.L.D. and the League still kept an eye over everything. Gaia made a subsidiary AI to always monitor the Pokemons so that no harm would be done to them or people. The general public felt more secured with the arrival of Pokemon, as now they finally have a defense if any kind of alien threat comes. The governments also made sure that all Pokemon were treated well and people just don't hoard Pokemon just for fun. Sake. No person could possess more than 4 Pokémons, as that was the limit, and should come for evaluation every year to the Pokémon hospitals to check their health. John was happy to see such changes. Tony and others too had arrived. They had been running around the whole month to catch Pokémons, and now they were here with huge smiles. Even Wayne had a smile on his face, signifying that he too had a successful hunt. "What Pokémon did you catch, Tony?" John asked. On Tony's shoulder there was a very small Pokémon, and John didn't expect Tony to actually have an Alolan Pokémon. It was Melton. "Well, this is Mealton. I caught a Mitten and a Scyther," Tony said with pride. "All steel. Scyther isn't steel as of yet, but it will be a steel type after evolving." "You deliberately went for them, didn't you?" John asked. "Of course. I can't tarnish the name of Iron Man," Tony said with pride. Banner came with Ralts on his shoulder. Banner probably went for them because he wanted a Pokémon that could calm himself down. He failed to catch any other Pokémon. After talking with all, John finally got to know who caught which Pokémons. Clint, Rowlet and Sableye. Oliver, Charmander and Pichu. Natasha, Misdreavus. Flash, Ninjask and Weavile. Pietro, Swellow. Rhodes, Skarmory. Steve, Combusken and Krogunk. Diana, Courtney and Togepi. Bucky, Honedge. Arthur, Lapras, Totodile and Mantine. Mera, Mudkip and Piplup. Geralt, Dratini. Triss, Raichu, Alolan. Yen, Girafarig and Abra. Wanda, Riolu and Aku. Vision, Majourna. Wayne, Darkrai and Golbat. John was really surprised by the Pokémons of Vision and Wayne. They both got their hands on mythical Pokémons. Majourna, like Vision, was an artificial Pokémon. Majourna was a steel/fairy type Pokémon, while Darkrai was a famous dark type. Both were mythical. "You really outclassed us, didn't you?" Banner said to Bruce. "Its nightmares had no effect on me, so I asked it to join me and it followed," Wayne said, as if it was not a big deal. But John had a feeling Batman was too happy in his heart. Everybody wanted to see their mythical Pokémons, but John said that summoning them here would just create chaos. They could check it out at the ring later. They all went in for the movie. Everybody was still busy discussing the new Pokémons they had seen and the adventures in the past month. Even Pepper got herself a Pokémon. It was an Eevee. The movie finally started and it began where the last post-credits scene was shown. People seeing monsters on the face of others. And this was happening all over the globe. The Justice League finally came in and stopped some cases, but not all were caught. After this, the whole team came to a meeting and said that this was probably magic and they would need someone who knew magic. Wayne didn't believe all of this at first and went home. There he saw the name Constantine over his room and even in his bathroom. The scene changed and it showed a new place where there was a British guy named John Constantine dealing with some hell monsters. Yes. This was the animated movie named Justice League Dark. This was the only way he could bring more fan values and properly show magic to people. The last few days his fan values rose higher than he ever thought was possible. In just 1 month he gained 2 billion. John was very happy with how everything was going on. The movie continued as it showed there was a fight between the Hell Demons and John. Jason Blood, who too was participating in the whole gambling, turned to have a superpower too. It turned out that he could replace himself with the demon named Etrigan. A demon that breathed hellfire. They finally came to know what kind of person John Constantine was. A massive prick. He didn't care about anything except for himself. Batman meanwhile went to meet a woman named Zatanna Zatara, who was the ex of John. Batman came to meet her as they needed the help of the magic side to deal with whatever was going on in the world right now. Deadman, Boston Brand, a dead person bestowed powers upon by a goddess named Ramakrishna, showed up too, as he was the one who asked for Constantine's help and drew his name on Batman's home. They then drove to the home of John, the House of Mysteries. After meeting him, Batman finally spoke about the problems League was facing recently and asked if he could help. John finally accepted the invitation after everybody convinced him. So now we have two John. Two Bruce wasn't enough, it seems, Clint said. Everybody smiled at this comment. Later they all went to meet Richie Simpsons, an old friend of John who was on the verge of death. John was able to keep him away from death. Even the spirits of death were a little bit afraid of Bruce Wayne when he came near them. John, in other universes, is Bruce alive? Tony asked, as here even the spirits of death were afraid. All multiverses don't have the same flow of time. So of course in many universes Bruce is dead. Some died young and some died on missions. Some of them even got resurrected. John said. Resurrection? Is that even possible? Can we also resurrect people? Banner asked, as now even he got interested. It's not necromancy, is it? Triss asked, as the witches too have that kind of magic power. Necromancy? Well, in one case yes, but it's not what you think. Resurrection always comes at a cost. The lines between the dimensions become blurred. It never ends well when resurrection is involved. There is more pain later than what they bargain for. John said while looking at Tony. I understand. Tony said, as he understood that bringing his parents back wouldn't end well. John, are my parents alive in other universes? Tony asked. He is in some. You might even see them one day. John said. Tony got excited when John said, and he couldn't wait for that day to come. The movie continued as John and others went to investigate into the matter with the help of Keshanti key given by Richie. They got a clue, but they needed more information. They again came back to Richie to ask more, but found that he was again on the verge of death. Now it was more terrible. John and others again brought him to life. There was also Jason present there, and finally they got to know the history of Jason. A man belonging to the ancient times. The time of Merlin, the great wizard who tied Jason with Etrigan. Merlin too is real. I have a feeling that all past lore is based on reality. Steve said. Most of them are actually. Diana replied. Jason was there to get his hands on Dreamstone, as it was a very powerful weapon, the stuff of nightmares. They then proceeded to work on the clue after Richie woke up. John and others later followed the information given by Richie and with the help of Swamp Thing and tracked down the man responsible for all the nightmares. They confronted Felix Faust, but later realized that he wasn't the main culprit. It was Richie all along. Since he was close to death, he wanted to make a gamble. He wanted to use the Dreamstone to keep himself alive. Destiny, an evil sorcerer from ancient times, was trapped in the Dreamstone, and he took over the body of Richie when he revealed he had the other part of the Dreamstone. Later they all had to confront Destiny. John was finally able to kill him with trickery and help from Boston. Richie too fell in hell. So there is hell? Steve asked. I think so. I haven't checked, John replied, as he really didn't check. He could use his helmet to check, but it might rub Mephisto the wrong way, so he was reluctant to see that. Now it was time for the post-credits scene. It showed various Justice League members fighting a bunch of villains. The audience could recognize the villains from the Justice League Unlimited series. As they were fighting, they saw a young kid in costume helping the people who were afraid. The movie ended with that scene. "So that's your son. What is his code name?" Banner asked, as now everybody had a code name. "Robin." Diana replied, as every member of the Justice League knew him. After the movie ended, they all went to the ring. Even though the movie was great, they were still more interested in Pokémons. Wayne and Vision summoned their mythical Pokémons. Everybody's eyes had stars as they saw the Pokémons. "We should all have a Pokémon battle," Clint suggested. "Why not?" Triss said as she waved her hands. The land changed into a stage which was of massive size. They all wanted to have battles, and thus everybody joined in except for John. He only had Ordino for now, so he was the referee. Without any surprise, Batman won every game. There were wins and losses for almost all. What surprised John was that Vision and Diana had a draw. They all cheered for the battles and were still very much amazed by the powers of Pokémon. After having dinner, they all went back home, and John too went to his tower to take a rest. The next day, after completing his work, he went to London as he needed to summon and talk with Constantine. Ding! Fan values required for John Constantine, 350 million. Wow, Constantine is costly. Extract him. And I need another item, John said. Ding! Fan value required for extracting the staff of Shazam, Wizard's staff, 400 million. Damn, even being a non-living item, it still costs that much. John then proceeded to summon them. Out came John Constantine with his famous overcoat and cigarette on his mouth. John directly shared his memories with Constantine. Bollocks! Another world. Another headache, Constantine said as he got to know everything. That's why I have insurance for you. Take this staff of Shazam. I will take the House of Mysteries, John said. Shazam. That's a good deal, I presume, Constantine said as he took the wizard staff. He looked into the staff for a few seconds before keeping it in a magical invisible depository. Keep an eye out for magical openings. It might get nasty soon, John said. Worry not, Constantine replied. John went back home and directly extracted the House of Mysteries. He had been changing his homes quite frequently, and now finally he has a home where he could spend for eternity. John spent a 100 million to extract the House of Mysteries. Near the Tower of Fate he proceeded to extract the house. He called Ordino and both went in. As the house had a spirit by itself, she manifested near John as they went in. Ordino didn't expect another person at their new home. The spirit looked at Ordino and petted her cheeks. The spirit loved Ordino the moment she saw her, and Ordino too was happy to have another person living at the house. John wasn't at home all day, so she felt a little lonely. Now finally she had someone to play with. John then went around the spacious house. This house was big and had everything. From huge bedrooms to multiple kitchens and bathrooms. A cozy fireplace and huge halls. This house had everything John had wished for. And now this house had a spirit too by itself, so all in all John was happy. The days went by as usual and soon it was October. John had kept an eye on Earth as it was time for Doctor Strange to emerge. John didn't know how the story would proceed, but he would try saving the life of the Ancient One. Constantine was brought solely for that purpose. The story of Caecilius followed like it was supposed to. He went to steal the pages of Cagliostro and ran away the moment the Ancient One emerged to stop him. He and his zealots ran after coming out of the London sanctum. But after running a few meters they noticed that they were trapped in the mirror dimension. Caecilius and his zealots thus started the fight against the Ancient One in the mirror dimension. Soon he realized that he wouldn't be able to win, so he opened a portal with his sling ring. The zealots ran to the portal to escape, but only to realize that the portal closed by itself. Caecilius, who saw this, turned his head to look at the Ancient One, but he saw her still fighting the zealots. So he was confused about what just happened. He opened a portal again only to be closed the next second. He was running out of time as the Ancient One had started killing the zealots. As he was thinking that, another portal opened and out came a tall blonde guy with an overcoat. The Ancient One stopped fighting the moment another person emerged in the mirror dimension. The zealots too stepped back because they had no idea how another person came into the mirror dimension. And they even noticed he didn't have a sling ring. The Ancient One sighed as she saw that, because the emergence of this new person now has changed everything. What? Don't want to continue the fight? This is the mirror dimension, isn't it? Fight to the death. I am here as a referee and see that the contestants don't run away, the man said. Caecilius didn't speak a word and conjured rings of Ragador to fight this new person while the zealots continued to assault the Ancient One. The person was John Constantine. Mate, you should never assault the referee. Your mother never taught you the rules of fighting, the man said as he uttered a spell and directly used magic to shoot at Caecilius. He was thrown meters away and even his rings of Ragador couldn't defend against the magic attack of Constantine. By this time the Ancient One had killed all the zealots and only Caecilius left. Caecilius knew he wouldn't be able to escape. He still couldn't get up from the hit of Constantine, and the Ancient One had tied him down by folding space in the mirror dimension. That's a nasty trick you got there. Constantine spoke to her for the first time. The Ancient One looked at him for a second before saying, "Did he send you to interfere?" "If you are asking about the Jameson lad, you are correct," Constantine said. She now was sure that John was behind this. She then looked at Caecilius, who was still stuck. "Caecilius, you have hurt your fellow colleague in your pursuit of power and thus I give you death," the Ancient One said. "You are just a hypocrite," said Caecilius. She didn't reply to that and waved her hands. The space folded and a wall closed on Caecilius. He didn't even get to utter a word in his defense. Thus the person who was responsible for the future summoning of Dormammu died very early. After seeing his death he turned to Constantine and said, "Your magic is a little bit dark. So is yours, Sorcerer Supreme. So is yours. We both belong to the same category, it seems." Constantine smiled as he said that. John was having a good time listening to music when he heard a knock on the door. The spirit of the house opened the door only to be greeted by a bald woman and Constantine. "How are you, love? Is John treating you properly?" Constantine spoke. The Ancient One too was surprised to see a spirit inviting them. She had never come before to John's house and even in the ring. It was her first time in the ring. She could feel the magic power of the House of Mysteries and even the Tower of Fate nearby. "Treats me better than you ever did. Please come in." The spirit spoke in a bland tone. "John, who saw them, invited them near the fireplace. Everybody sat down. The spirit brought tea for the Ancient One and a glass of whiskey for Constantine. So Caecilius is dead, the Ancient One said. John looked at her and smiled. The first mission he gave to Constantine was successful. He didn't care about the future anymore. That's good. No more Dormammu. John replied. Yes. Then what about Strange? Ancient One asked. What about him? He can still be a magician. John asked, confused. You don't understand. Do you? Your medical technology wouldn't allow Strange to take the magical route. The Ancient One spoke. Huh. Wait. I actually forgot about that. Fine. If he gets into an accident, I will guide him to Comatage. Is that better? John said, as he actually did forget that the medical technology now of Earth was at least 100 years ahead. Even though the Pokémons haven't been integrated with hospitals, that day wasn't far. That would add more to the medical industry. You better do that. Your interference of Caecilius has already changed a lot. I don't want Strange to go on a different path. The Ancient One said. Who are you kidding? Strange is destined to take the magical route no matter what. John said. The Ancient One just shrugged her shoulders to that and drank her tea. She really loved the tea that the spirit made for her. Constantine didn't utter a word as he was enjoying the whiskey. Is there any chance for Zed? Constantine asked finally. There might be. John said, as he had other plans for Zed. She was way too powerful and was perfect for another person to handle. Even though he would participate in it himself. The Ancient One left after finishing her tea. John called Gaia and gave her instructions for handling the case of Strange if his case ever came up in the next few days. John now wanted to see if Strange really ever took the path of magician after this massive interference. Constantine spent some time at his old home before leaving. John too went for his own works. The next few days went like normal and nothing happened of significance. Meanwhile, Strange's path didn't deviate much. It followed the exact course as the original story and was in an accident where the bones of his hands broke. When Strange woke up, he saw his hands dangling on bandages. When he saw his hands in such a position and in pain he was in, he had tears. His face too had terrible bruises. Then he saw Christine Palmer sitting by his side looking at him. What happened? What did they do? Stephen asked. It took a long time to find you. You have severe nerve damage. There are steel pins inserted on your hands so that you have the functioning of your hands left. Palmer said. Why did they do that? Don't we have the medical pods to operate on that? Stephen asked with more pain in his voice. The Umbrella Corporation refused to give access to you and they left a phone number for you to call when you wake up. Did you ever antagonize them, Stephen? They never said no to anybody. You are the first person they said no to. Palmer said. I have never done anything wrong to them. I admit that because of them I have become poorer, but in no case have I ever complained. Why are they doing this to me? Stephen asked. No idea. Take rest now, call them when you are in a position to make that call. Don't let your arrogance speak over the call, Stephen. I have gone through the reports. Only a medpod would be able to save your hands. I understand. Stephen said in an annoying tone as he really didn't know why he didn't have access to the medpod. After 2 days of feeling better, Strange finally called up the number given by the Umbrella Corporation. He was hesitant at first as he didn't know who was on the other side of the call. "Hello, this is Stephen Strange. I was provided a number to call the Umbrella Corporation." "Hello, Dr. Strange. This is John Jameson." Strange shuddered when he heard that name. He thought the other end of the call would be a manager of some kind. He didn't expect that it was the ultimate boss himself. John was way too famous and was in a way too high a position. He didn't understand how he had warranted the notice of such a being. "Mr. Jameson, I made this call because I was denied the access to medical pods. Can I know why?" Stephen asked politely as he didn't know the actual reason. "Umbrella denied the access because to show you how little you know, Stephen," John said. "What do you mean?" Strange asked. But as he said that, there was a weird symbol appeared in his room. The symbol glowed and out came a man with a golden cape and golden helmet. Stephen and Christine, who was also present nearby, was surprised. She had seen how teleportation worked of the ring and it was never like that. "This is what I mean, Dr. Strange, when I meant you know very little. You are John Jameson?" Stephen asked. To his question, John removed his helmet. What surprised John was that Christine actually had a Pokémon. But sadly it wasn't a Pokémon related to healing. It was a Sobble. John smiled as he saw this, signifying that Pokémons have started its normal integration of the society. "Never knew the famous Mr. Jameson has a thing for theatrics," Stephen said without holding back his words. He didn't know why he was not given access to the medpods, but it really made him annoyed. John just smiled at the comment and said, "What do you think of the last movie, Doctor Strange? I will presume you have watched it." John asked. "You mean Justice League Dark? It was a good movie. But what has that movie got to do with me?" Stephen asked as he was more confused now. "Do you think magic exists?" John asked. "Magic? I only believe what I see, Mr. Jameson. Until I see with my own eyes, I don't believe in anything. For now I believe magic is just higher form of technology and nothing else," Doctor Strange replied. Christine, who was listening to this, also sighed. It was hard for someone like Strange to accept magic. He had seen Pokémon and people think they have powers because of their genes and physiology. They never connected them to any form of magic. "Do you think the movies I make are just for fun?" John asked. "I don't know. Nor do I care. I just want to know why I am not being given access to medpods." Strange insisted on it. John sighed when he heard that answer. His arrogance had always been a problem. Tony too had arrogance, but it has toned down quite now after know the other versions of him are more powerful than him, especially after know that there is Cosmic Iron Man. That has been his drive and he had been working diligently. Strange hasn't gone through that as of yet. In the original world he became a little humble after the Ancient One showed him a way. Now he needed to show Strange how little he knew. John didn't reply his question and directly hit him on his chest. Christine and Stephen couldn't even react to John's move. As he did that, Stephen's astral form came out of his body. Stephen's astral form floated for a few seconds before John pulled him back to his body. "Still think magic is unreal, Strange?" John asked. "What did you do?" Both of them asked. Even though Christine couldn't see the astral form, she was scared that John had hit him. She was almost ready to call the police. "What did you just do? What was that?" Strange asked as he really didn't understand what had happened. I pushed your astral form out of your physical form. John replied. It's fine, Christine. I didn't hurt Stephen. You don't have to worry. He is all right. John said to Christine. Can you explain me what was that? Stephen asked again. As he said that there was a portal opening by John's side. Out came the Ancient One. That's your patient now. I can't handle him. John said first to her before the two people could even ask what was going on. Today was a huge shock for both Stephen and Christine. At first it was John appearing weirdly in front of them and then saying that there was magic. He proceeded to push the astral form out of Strange. And now there was another portal opening which looked different than John's. And a bald woman appearing in ancient-looking clothes. What the hell is going on? Stephen asked now as there was another woman in his room whom he have never seen before. It's fine, John, I will take it from here. The Ancient One said. Thanks, I am off then. Strange, if you want answers why I didn't give access to medpods, she will give you a better answer. One day when you are ready, you can come to me, then I will heal your hands, but I doubt you will choose that then. John said before vanishing. John didn't want to participate in this teacher-student meeting. He had work to do. Though he was a little curious of how she would convince Strange to take the magical path. But that story could wait for later. After returning back, he went to Disney to work on the next movie. He needed to plan for the next movie. Since he had almost all stories going, he didn't really need characters for now. The anime he has been releasing was enough for him. All he needed was to accumulate his fan values and give more powers to his summons later. He was thinking of providing this when he had enough fan values, probably by the start of the next year. In this way a whole month went by without much change. John even once went to Comatage to see if Strange had joined, and as expected he really did take the magic route. He was happy to see that, as at least there wasn't a change in that story. He even talked with him for a few minutes before returning back. One fine day in early November, as he was working in Disney with the directors and actors, a magical portal opened and Constantine came out. Everybody was surprised by the sudden emergence of a man from a weird-looking circle which looked like a portal. John, we have a problem. Constantine said with a very serious face. He didn't even care about all the weird looks everybody was giving him. Why are you here, Constantine? John asked. Constantine would never come to him if the situation wasn't very dire. He even came through the portal of the sling ring not by his own magical teleportation. The multiverse wall is breaking, John. She sent me here to inform you and asked for help against whatever is going to arrive from the other side. Constantine said. What? John's eyes went wide when he heard that. The wall of the multiverse, which looked like a glass that divided one universe from another, was responsible for the separation of all the universes. It was one of the toughest things to break. John could break and go through it, as that was the power of Dr. Fate. Only a few people could break through that. The Watchers were one of them. John didn't ask anymore and wore the helmet of fate that was floating invisibly near him. He directly changed himself to the full attire of Dr. Fate and vanished with Constantine without even asking any more. All the employees who were nearby and saw this were taken aback. They didn't understand of what just happened until one employee finally said, "Doesn't that look like Dr. Fate from the animated series? Is our boss Dr. Fate?" Kevin's eyes went wide when the employee said that. He knew he needed to handle the situation and thus proceeded to say, Whatever just happened should never leave this room. Never. If you wish to stay in the ring, you all better forget what you just saw. Since our boss never showed to the world that he is Dr. Fate, you all better keep that new information in your deepest memory, never to see the light of day. I would hate to fire any of you if any leaks happen. Everybody understood that whatever happened should never go out, or else they would lose the privilege that all had been enjoying in the ring all this time. Meanwhile, John appeared with Constantine near Ancient One. He saw all the magicians were in fight mode with all weapons and shields. He even saw Strange among them. "What is going on?" John asked. "We have no idea. The multiverse wall is suddenly showing cracks and something is going to emerge from it in a minute or so," Mordo replied as he was beside the Ancient One. "Sorcerer Supreme, is it Dormammu?" John asked as he thought it might be him because Dormammu might be coming forcefully since he just stopped his advance and he was a very powerful entity. "No, if it was him I would have felt it. This is something else which I have never seen before. It's not a single person. It's 3 people," the Ancient One said. John now used his magic to see beyond the wall with his helmet. But what he saw shook him to the core. He never expected to see these 3 people in his whole life. John now knew he would have to battle for sure, and the battle would decide the life and death of his universe. "Avengers, we need your help." John spoke as he waved his hands. As John said that, all the Avengers appeared out of nowhere. Some weren't even in good clothes. Geralt was even half naked in a bath suit. Everybody was surprised about how they all got teleported, and that too in a different place without their consent. Only to see many weird-looking men and women with magical rings and shields. John's magic allowed him to teleport people from one place to another whenever he needed to do so. "What the hell?" Pietro screamed. "Don't ask. There will be people coming out now out of that cracked glass in the air. They are powerful beyond your imagination. And no matter what, don't let them speak their language. Even if you die, don't let them speak. Because if we allow them that, our universe will be destroyed," John said without even allowing anyone to voice any protest. "Are you kidding me?" Tony asked. "No," John replied with a dignified face. As he said that, the cracked glass in the air finally broke and out came 3 weird-looking men. They had black overcoats on their bodies. But what was most eye-catching about them was their huge masks. Their masks were golden in color with pointed sides and had one huge eye drawn on them. They understood that it was a fake eye because there wasn't any hole in it. John didn't even speak with them for a second and directly attacked. Others too followed John as they trusted him. Since he said that these people were dangerous, they all attacked, followed by John. Tony and Wayne put on the nano armor while Triss and Yen used their magic to attack. Everybody used their strongest moves at the same time. All of their attacks came together and hit them. There was a huge explosion. After a second the dust settled, but what surprised them was that nothing happened to the 3 of them. And at this moment they understood that they would have to be more serious with this fight. Banner transformed into Hulk while Flash and Pietro got ready to run at full speeds to hit them. As they got ready to attack, one among the 3 spoke a letter using a language they had no idea about. Then another man proceeded to speak another letter which, like the previous one, had no idea about. "No!" John screamed and directly used fire magic to hit the last of the 3 which hadn't spoken yet. The fire magic was so huge that the 3rd person was thrown away many meters. John even used flame alchemy while adding the power of Philosopher's Stone in it, which he had kept on the amulet of Anubis. This day was one of those days he needed to use the Philosopher's Stone. The person who was hit by fire got up again. Even after such a huge fire attack, it failed to kill him, but it did burn away his overcoat and his mask. Now everyone got to see the person's face for the first time. The person was bald and human-looking, but what was astonishing was that he didn't have any eye. He only had a weird black symbol on his forehead. His mouth looked like it was stitched to the face like the Joker's. What are you all spacing out? Do you all want to die? This is the battle for your lives and everybody in this universe. Attack! John shouted. Everybody didn't hold back anymore and used magic, technology and everything they had at the arsenal to attack all the three. Since they couldn't kill so easily, they all used their strongest magic. Even the Ancient One looked serious and participated in the fight. John used magic and alchemy with the help of a Philosopher's Stone to attack. He didn't hold back at all. Others too followed his lead and attacked. Batman used the Hellbat armor while Tony used his bleeding edge. Flash and Pietro ran around and hit the trio whenever there was an opening. Wanda used telekinesis to lift one of them up and tackled him to the ground. Triss and Yen used magic, while Aquaman and others used weapons to stab them. Siri was successful in removing the mask of another guy, and this person too looked almost the same as the other guy who was unmasked. Who the hell are they? Why are they so powerful? Tony asked as he sent a missile to one of them. He had just spoken a letter, and from John's attack they understood that all needed to focus on stopping the other two from speaking another letter. And this time all came together to stop another guy from speaking another letter, which they were successful to do so. Even though their attack didn't kill them, it stopped them from speaking another letter. But before they could rejoice, 4 other guys who had the same outfit as the other 3 emerged from the broken glass in the air. Oh! Fuck me! Hal spoke as he saw 4 others emerging. No point in cursing. We need to fight. Give your all. Make small teams and attack them. Make sure you stop them for speaking. Wayne said. I really want to know where they come from. Flash said as he just appeared to talk with them. Barry, separate all of them from each other. We all need to bring out our Pokémons too in this battle. Wayne said. And thus everybody summoned their Pokémons. And no further instruction was required as they started attacking again to confront the new enemies. John, who saw all this, was angry now. He really didn't expect that their universe would be visited by these people. They were the Black Priests, also known as field surgeons of the multiverse. They are basically the white blood cells of the multiverse. It was the multiverse's defense mechanism to stop its destruction. But John was confused too. Because he knew the story of Black Priests. So when they appeared, he had already checked his Earth for the presence of the person for whom the Black Priests might have come, but he couldn't find any such person. That person was Owen Reese, the Molecule Man. That's why John was mainly confused, as he didn't know the reason for the arrival of the Black Priests. But it didn't stop John in trying to stop the Black Priests. They basically have a hive mind and their powers are related to their letters. Only one letter can be spoken by one person, and when all the Black Priests utter the letters in sequence and complete a word, they could basically rewrite reality. For example, if there are many Black Priests and all of them spoke destroy, then the whole word will actually happen and the whole universe would be destroyed. For this reason John was scared of them and he tried his best to stop them in completing a word. Even though he couldn't understand their words, he needed to stop them from completing their words. As the 4 new Black Priests emerged, everybody got more serious while fighting. They divided into small teams of magicians and Avengers and fought against them. The Black Priests finally stopped defending and now were actively attacking. Even though they tried speaking their letters, the Avengers and the magicians were successful in stopping them from completing a word. Darkrai and Wanda even tried invading the minds of a Black Priest but was hurt in return. They understood that mind-controlling powers won't have any effect on them. "What did you see, Wanda?" Yen asked as she defended against the attacks of the Black Priest's magic. "Information. Lots of information. They have a hive mind. We can never control their minds. That would be suicide," Wanda replied. Siri meanwhile got really irritated and directly used her dimensional power on the sword to cut the head off of one of the priests. This sudden death of a Black Priest made them all stop attacking. John thought finally there might be light in the end of the tunnel as he saw the Black Priests stopping to attack. But the next moment he saw 5 more members of the Black Priest emerging. "Are you kidding me?" John said in a very angry tone. He then proceeded to use the biofission magic of himself to make multiple copies of himself. It was exactly like the clones of Strange during the Infinity War fight on Titan. Then the main John proceeded to transform himself to Phoenix. The Avengers knew that now John was really angry. He never used his Phoenix powers in so close range as it might hurt the other members. But now John didn't care after the emergence of 5 more members from the broken glass. "We can fight like this all day and you will lose. It's better to let the leader of the Black Priests come out. I need to talk to him," John said. The new Black Priests who emerged stopped from attacking and looked at John for a few seconds. "Call your leader or we can continue the fight like this. I don't mind bringing the Asgardians in this fight. They would be happy to join us and with numbers we can easily overwhelm you," John said. But as he said that there was a rainbow bridge that fell near. Out came Thor and his friends. It was probably Odin and Heimdall who saw them fighting from Asgard and sent them to help in this fight. "See, even Thor is here. Better call your leader. I am sure he is listening and watching all of this," John said again. The Black Priests turned their heads to look at each other and after a minute of deliberation they stood aside on a line making space for a new person to emerge from the multiverse passage. As the Black Priests made their way for their superior to arrive, everybody got to see a person emerging from the multiverse passage in the same outfit as other Black Priests. The only difference was that this new guy was wearing a weirder and bigger mask. He levitated down slowly towards them. John got irritated with all the slow theatrics of this leader, especially when he knew the identity of their superior, so he said, "Constantine, give me the staff." "Ah. Sure, mate," Constantine said as he threw the staff of Shazam to John, who was still in his Phoenix form. John caught the staff with his claws and shouted, "Shazam!" The next moment a huge lightning bolt fell on him from the sky. As the lightning fell, the Phoenix form which had fire on his wings were now added by lightning spark all over the body. After the dust settled created by the lightning bolt, the Phoenix looked totally different now. He now looked so huge that even the people from the city of Kathmandu could see the Phoenix. There were lightning sparks all over him and instead of blue fire he had an orange-colored fire. John didn't waste any more time and directly flew to the leader's side. Before the leader could even determine what just happened, he was caught by the claws of John and was thrown away with a huge force to the snowy mountains at the back. The force of his throw was so huge that the leader basically went through a series of mountain ranges before stopping. This destroyed a lot of mountains. They all were dumbfounded by this sudden action of John. Nobody knew that Constantine had the staff of Shazam, and even lesser people have ideas about the staff. The Ancient One, who saw that the mountain ranges were collapsing, directed the mags to stop the mountains and avalanche from coming down and killing the people living on the foot of the mountains, while she got ready for the retaliation from the Black Priests, but surprisingly none of the Black Priests moved. John, on the other hand, flew so fast to the direction the leader was being thrown that only few people could make out that John had flown away, while others thought that he just vanished. John found the leader lying in rubble. John used both lightning and fire to hit at the leader and used his full force. The leader, who just got back up, was hit again by such a huge attack. He was again thrown away a few miles before stopping. John then proceeded to do the same cycle with the leader before he could even speak a word. These actions of John were seen by everybody. Even the satellites of Earth could now see such a massive phoenix bird flying around and causing destruction. Even though nobody died, the Himalayan mountain ranges had now officially become one of the ranges which housed the lowest peaks. Mount Everest was totally gone. All the governments who saw this got scared and immediately called Fury. Fury, who had no idea what had happened, called Wayne only to receive a vague answer of enemies arriving from another universe and John fighting against it. After 5 minutes of flying around and using all attacks possible on the leader, he took the leader in his claws and came back to the position where it started. He then threw the leader to the center where everyone was present. The Black Priests surprisingly still didn't react to all of this. The mags had all gone away to secure the collapsing ranges. And even some Avengers joined them after seeing no reaction from Black Priests. The leader seemed dead, as most of them thought that no matter how powerful a person might be, such a continuous and huge assault couldn't be survived from. "That's a nice trick you did," called the leader and killed him. "We should use such strategies," Arthur said. "If only it was that easy. I know you are alive, Strange. You can stop pretending to be dead," John said. The Ancient One, Stephen, Mordo and some other mags shuddered when said the name Strange. The Avengers didn't know anything about the name Strange, so they had no reaction. The leader, who was seemingly dead, got up slowly. Everybody was surprised, as they didn't really expect that somebody could survive even after that assault. "What is this guy's body made of?" "Vibranium," Steve asked, as that was the toughest metal known to them. "No. He is using letters to defend himself. Isn't it right, Strange?" John said. The leader finally removed his mask to show his face, and what some of them doubted finally came to be true. It really was Stephen Strange. Those who had been fighting for the last 15 minutes recognized him and turned their head to the person who actually looked like. Even though he had bruises on his face, the Avengers could make out his identity. Dr. Stephen Strange. Why do these two guys look the same? Is he the leader of these people from another universe? Pietro asked. John didn't reply to that, but asked, "Why are you here, Strange? There is no molecule man in our universe. Nor is there any incursion. You better give me a good explanation, or else I don't mind locking you up at a place where you won't be able to utter a single word. Let alone finishing a sentence." Everybody understood that there were two Strange from two universes, and this Strange was evil. The Ancient One looked at this new Strange and was surprised that this Strange was so powerful and had some weird minions. Even though she could look into other multiverses, she couldn't keep track of everything, and thus she had no idea about this Strange. "Your power looks like the Phoenix Force, but yours isn't actually it." The new Strange spoke up for the first time. There can be only one Phoenix Force in all multiverses. And I am not its host. John replied. Strange nodded to that answer as he too knew there could be only one host to the Phoenix Force. Don't change the topic. Answer my question. John said as he transformed himself back to his original body. You are John Jameson. But in no versions of John are you this powerful. Your power is something that this multiverse has never seen. This is astonishing. Strange said as he still avoided answering him. Have you ever seen these guys before? John asked, pointing to the whole Avengers lineup. You haven't, so don't speak about being a prophet in front of me. John said with a harsh tone. I thought I knew everything after becoming the leader of Black Priest. Seems like I am wrong. Strange said. Making you the most powerful version of Strange in all of the multiverse doesn't make you a god. Even gods don't know everything, let alone you. John replied. Agreed. Well, what is this molecule man and incursion you spoke about before? Can you tell me? Huh? Didn't you join the Black Priests because of the fact that the multiverse was collapsing? John asked as he was confused now. He actually thought Strange followed the comics and joined the Black Priests to find out the reason behind the collapse. That's why he wanted to speak to Doctor Strange and find out how much the multiverse had collapsed. There was no actual reason to attack Strange, it's just that he was annoyed by how high and mighty he acted. Especially after joining a group that didn't care about good and evil and proceeded to obliterate everything just so that the multiverse could survive. No. Are there other versions of me that joined the Black Priests? As far as I remember, there is only one multiverse in all of the multiverse. Strange said. The hell? If there is no incursion, why did you join the Black Priests? You are from Earth 616. Aren't you? John said. Yes. I am from Earth 616. I joined the Black Priests because I was invited as the multiverse started the defense mechanism to save itself from the coming wrath. Strange said in a very grave tone. Who is coming? John asked softly as he had a bad premonition. Since even the face of such powerful Strange looked grave, he knew the matter was serious. The Black Winter. Strange said slowly and steadily. Ha! Fimbulwind. Didn't Thor kill Black Winter? John asked as he was more confused because according to comics the cosmic Thor killed the Black Winter and he wasn't really that powerful as Thor actually single-handedly defeated it. Where do you even get such information? This multiverse has never faced the Black Winter. Strange said. What? John said. Now he was more confused than he ever was. All this time he thought the other universes followed the story of comics. When the Black Priests appeared, he thought of the Secret Wars comics and that was the reason he attacked. But now it seemed that the comics weren't actually true always. Maybe because he had interfered in the multiverse and thus the story was changing fast. The butterfly effect that affected all of the multiverse, and now the whole story was messed up. John became silent for a minute as he started contemplating the future, which he was very unsure about now. So the Black Winter is coming. So what of it? Why come to our universe with such fanfare? John asked as this was the main question now. I wasn't sure before, but I am sure now. Your emergence and the power you possess with all the new members in the Avengers has sparked the hunger of the Black Winter. So it is coming for this universe. We as the defense shield can only wipe away this universe to preserve all of the multiverse. After he comes here and eats this universe, he would be unstoppable. This was the reason the Black Priests were established, wasn't it? Earth 616 is more powerful than ours. Don't give me that lame explanation, John said. For now it is true. But can you say the same in the future? You are a sorcerer supreme, aren't you? You yourself can look into the future. Look into it and tell me that your Earth wouldn't be as powerful as Earth 616. Strange said. That's it, guys. Hope you like the video. Like, share and subscribe the channel, and also make sure you tell me your recommendation in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.